Hello, and thanks for joining me today for coffee time here on Cedar Creek Homestead. And I hope you're having a wonderful day and appreciate you joining us today. Just to introduce myself a little bit, me and my wife were, I guess you'd say, not new to homesteading, but we're new to this YouTube and all this filming and stuff. So I'm working on this, and so I'm working out the bugs, you might say. But anyway, we sure appreciate you joining us. My wife's a little camera shy, but I believe that I will eventually get her in here on film, hopefully. But anyway, we I just went through a drought here, and it's getting springtime. This is March the 9th, I believe, and we had been very, very dry here in Oklahoma, and all of a sudden, in a week's time, we went from extremely dry to an abundance of rain. The river's up, the lake's up, the ponds are overflowing, the creek's running, and thank the Lord. I tell you, God's good to us. And so it's time to think about gardening, and I ordered me some onions in. I'm planning on putting out hopefully today, and I can make a video of that. But anyway, I ordered them from Dixondale Farms, and one of the YouTubers had this on their a video they had that they'd ordered from Dixondale Farms, and I apologize for not remembering. I think it was Texas Prepper who ordered them, but I ordered some red and I ordered some yellow onions also, and we love onions, and I can grow big onions here. These are short day varieties, and I've wrapped them in a wet napkin there to kind of keep them a little damp so they don't dry out on me. I've had them for a few days. It's been so wet here that we can't plant them, but hopefully you'll get to see me out in the garden and plant these, and we'll see how Dixondale Farms onions do. Last year I had some big old pretty yellow onions. They're supposed to be the same kind that they plant for the Vidalia onions, but we can't call them Vidalias here because we're a long ways from Vidalia where they grow from that part of Georgia. I believe it is where they grow the onions. So anyway, we're going to try to plant them today, hopefully, if it works out, and get out and till up the garden and get started working it. I've tilled it a while back, but it was before we got all this rain. And yes, I till my garden. I'm not into the Garden of Eden gardening, and that's fine and dandy. If you are, then it works for you. That's great. I do more of a traditional gardening here, what my grandparents did. My grandpa, great-grandpa, father, bought this land here, and then my grandfather ended up with it, and now my dad has it, and hopefully I will end up with all this. I just have a little bit here, but hopefully we'll end up with the place. But we have enough room here to have a few cows and to do some things. But anyway, we're in a beautiful area, a wonderful area for growing a garden, and we've got a good garden spot. We grew a garden in it when I was a kid. My dad quit gardening, and the garden spot laid by for quite a few years. I was moved off from here for about 20 years, and then I moved back and decided to start gardening again, and my dad said, well, we could have this property up here, and I said, well, because I wanted to run that garden, he said, I'll just give it to you that up there and you can live there and stuff. So we've moved here, and we've been gardening here for about 10 years. I've been back here working on number 10 year, and we started gardening when we moved back here. But we've gardened our whole adult life, and even as a child we had to garden. You had to work in the garden. That's one thing you had to learn to do very young, is how to plant onions and to work in the garden, and I've always enjoyed it. My wife loves to can and put up things, and hopefully we'll do some videos together where I can show you some of her canning and some of the stuff she does. And it is sure nice in the wintertime to eat on the fresh produce and vegetables. And we raise chickens here. We have a few rabbits, and like I mentioned earlier, we have a few cows, and we'll usually butcher a beef every year and share that with my parents. and they live pretty close here to us. And we love eating what we raise. And I believe as a homesteader, there's different styles of homesteading, different levels, but you're making where you live at is your homestead. So if you live in an apartment, you can homestead. You may not be able to have a cow. You may not be able to have a milk cow. May not be able to have chickens. Some people can't even have chickens in town. That is just weird to me. But anyway, here we are out in the country, and we are allowed to do about what we want to do. And I love raising our own food, as much of it as we possibly can. We don't raise it all. My wife goes to the grocery store every week, and we don't spend a lot on groceries, but she goes once a week to the grocery store and will buy the necessary items. And we also kind of prep things back, like coffee and sugar and things, where if during the winter months we'd have enough food and coffee and sugar and those staples. Now, I call myself a prepper because the old homesteaders were preppers. My great-grandfather and my grandfather and my dad, when I was young, my dad doesn't do it anymore, but when we were kids, they raised their own food. They'd kill a hog in the fall, they'd hang a hog and butcher it. Sometimes they'd butcher several hogs, and my grandpa had an old smokehouse where they smoked the meat and cured it and fixed it so it would last during the winter when you had warmer days. Used to, it got colder in the winter here than it does now, so they could, when it got cold weather, they'd butcher a hog. Anytime they needed chickens, they would have poultry here to always have roosters and things. In the spring, when the hens would go to setting and the young fryers would get up big enough, my dad would say that his mom would tell him, they weren't quite big enough to fry yet, but she'd say, before the coyotes and stuff get those young fryers, well, go out there and get some. So Dad would go out and kill a fryer or two, and him and his mom and dad and whoever would have chicken. My dad was the youngest of the family of about, I don't know how many kids, but I'd have to think for a moment on that, but a pretty large family, and he was the last one at home, so he kind of got spoiled. But he'd go kill a chicken or two, and they'd have fried chicken. And I was raised up that way too. We'd raise our own chickens and have fried chicken, and the whole family would get out and help take the feathers off, pluck them and stuff. And we still do some of that here. I even skin the chickens sometimes. But I like getting back to the old-time way, a more simpler way of life. And that's what we try to do here. We are not fully on the homestead. I have to work, and I work because I enjoy what I do. I own my own business, so it doesn't tie me down all the time. I have a little freedom to kind of come and go as I please and do what I need to do and take care of the homestead here. I would like to be full-time. We're not off-grid. A lot of people are off-grid. I wish we were off-grid. I wish we were like Doug and Stacy. And I'm working on some things here, and it's a long-term plans, but where we could be off-grid if we needed to be. I have a generator, but that to me is not really off-grid. You have to have gas, and depend on all that. So that don't really matter to me so much. But I do think it would be fun. I think it's an exciting way of life. Doug and Stacy has a YouTube video, if you've ever watched theirs, and I think it's a really neat life. There's Danny and Wanda, Deep South Homestead. Some of these names, I have a little trouble with names, remember them, so you'll have to bear with me a little bit. But Deep South Homestead, we enjoy watching their videos, and we love watching Doug and Stacy. And Flutie Lick, they're kind of a new one. We really enjoy watching their videos, and a lot of times on Saturday evenings, Danny and Wanda come on and they're live, and we'll sit in the living room, and we got us a portable computer where we could sit there and watch them on Saturday nights, and that's kind of our entertainment. But it gets me ideas watching others on YouTube, and I appreciate what y'all are doing, and we're going to try to help and add to what we do here, sometimes by sharing what you do. You'll catch something that someone else does, and that's what I've done. I catch some of your ideas that you all are doing, and I think, boy, I'm going to try that at my place. And there's Okie Rob here in Oklahoma that has a channel on YouTube, and there's Arms Family Homestead. We enjoy watching that, and there's many others. I can't think of all the names, but you're doing a great work, and we're kind of a community of people that are working together. I kind of call myself a homestead slash prepper. Some call themselves other names, but on the prepping, it's not a long-term prepping. And I want to be prepared here like the old timers did. My grandparents would put up enough food to last through the winter. They'd have enough corn put up for the winter, and they would have enough hay for the cows and things that they would need to survive during the winter. So in the wintertime, they didn't have to worry. They had plenty of food to eat. May not have had any money, but they had food to eat. So that's kind of the way we do. We put up enough stuff where we could survive through the winter, and maybe 2 winters or whatever. But we then we'd have to watch it that second winter if we didn't put anything up. But otherwise, we are. So I kind of consider us a little bit of preppers, but maybe the term would be more of a homesteader. We'll kind of evolve into what we really are, but a homesteader to me is someone that takes what they got and tries to live off of their land, and that's what we're doing the best we can. We keep increasing and doing more and more of that, and one thing is I enjoy it. It's fun, and I like in the wintertime. I like at Thanksgiving and Christmas. My wife will open up green beans that's been canned, corn on the cob that she put up in the freezer, jellies, jams that she's put up. You just can't beat that kind of lifestyle. So I enjoy this lifestyle, and I hope you come along and watch us. And if you're watching, we'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to our channel and like our videos if you do like them. And if you'd subscribe, it sure would help us out. We're trying to grow our channel. I think we have 5 subscribers is starting this morning, and so anyway, we appreciate that very much. We're certainly small potatoes here, but we're getting started. And I hope you have a wonderful day today. May God richly bless you and keep you. And we'll see you next time here on Coffee Time with Cedar Creek Homestead. God bless you.